The tennis world is once again holding its breath for Matteo Berrettini, a player whose powerful serve, thunderous forehand, and undeniable charisma have made him one of the most exciting and frustrating figures in modern tennis. At 29 years old, Berrettini is locked in the middle of another painful chapter in a career that has been defined less by consistency and more by a relentless battle with injuries that keep pulling him back from the brink of greatness. His latest setback came at the 2026 French Open, where he was forced to retire from his quarterfinal match against his compatriot Matteo Arnaldi, trailing in the second set with what appeared to be significant hip discomfort. It was a heartbreaking moment for fans who had watched him fight his way into the quarterfinals, only to see him walk off the court once again, unable to finish the match he had worked so hard to reach. This retirement is not an isolated incident. It is the latest in a long, painful series of injuries that have plagued Berrettini for years. His 2026 season started with a devastating blow when he was forced to withdraw from the Australian Open just days before his first-round match against Alex de Minaur, citing discomfort in his obliques, an abdominal strain that had been bothering him for months. He had spent 4 weeks in rigorous training, eager and ready to start the season. But the pain in his obliques was too much to ignore, and he made the difficult decision to pull out rather than risk further damage. His words at the time were telling. "It's never easy to make these kinds of decisions, but unfortunately, I felt discomfort in my obliques once again. I won't be ready to compete at my best in matches that can go 5 sets. It hurts because playing in Australia has always been special." Those words now feel like a preview of what has become a repeating pattern in his career. Before the Australian Open, Berrettini had already missed the French Open and the U.S. Open in 2025 due to a resurgence of the same underlying injury that had troubled him for so long. He had risen to world number 6 in the rankings, a testament to his incredible talent. But he had also become a cautionary tale, a player whose body seemed to be fighting against his mind, his ambition, and his desire to compete at the highest level. His 2025 season was marred by injuries, and he struggled to string together even a handful of matches without having to pull out, retire, or face the kind of physical limits that most players only encounter in the final stages of their careers. Now, in 2026, he is facing the same demons, and the pattern is becoming harder to ignore. The injury that forced him out of the French Open quarterfinal appears to be hip-related, though the exact diagnosis has not been publicly disclosed. After 3 games in the second set against Arnaldi, Berrettini required a medical break for what seemed to be hip discomfort, and after a brief evaluation, he and his support team made the call to retire from the match. It was a decision that was not made lightly, and it was a decision that came with the weight of knowing that he was leaving behind a chance to reach his first Grand Slam semifinal since the 2022 Wimbledon tournament, where he lost to Nicky Djokovic in a match that felt like it could have been his breakthrough moment. He had worked too hard to get back to this point, and now he was once again staring at the same question. How much longer can his body keep up with his ambitions? What makes Berrettini's situation so painful for fans is not just the injuries themselves, but the way they have derailed what could have been a legendary career. He reached the Wimbledon final in 2021, losing to Novak Djokovic in a match that is still remembered as one of the most thrilling finals in recent memory. He has been a top 10 player, a Grand Slam semifinalist, and a player who has shown that he has the talent to compete with the very best in the world. But since then, he has been unable to maintain that level of consistency, and he has been unable to stay healthy long enough to build on that momentum. He has become a player who is always in the conversation, but never quite able to stay in it long enough to make a real impact. That is the kind of frustration that eats at a player, that eats at a fan, and that eats at anyone who has watched him rise to the top and then fall back down, again and again. Berrettini's own words have become increasingly honest about the toll this has taken on him. He has spoken about the frustration, the pain, and the emotional weight of watching his body fail him at critical moments. He has said that it hurts to withdraw from tournaments he has trained for, that it hurts to miss Grand Slams he has dreamed of winning, and that it hurts to watch other players move forward while he is stuck in the same cycle of injury and recovery. But he has also said that he is not giving up, that he is still fighting, and that he's still determined to find a way back to the level he knows he can reach. Those words are not just words. They are a promise, and they are a testament to the kind of fighter Berrettini is, both on and off the court. For fans, this latest injury is a reminder of how fragile a tennis career can be, how quickly a player can go from the top of the world to the sidelines, and how much the body can be a limiting factor even when the mind is ready to keep going. Berrettini is still young, still talented, and still capable of reaching the heights he once reached, but he's also still fighting the same battles, and he is still trying to find a way to stay healthy long enough to make his mark. That is the story of his career now, and that is the story that will continue to define him until he is able to break free from the cycle. If you've been following Matteo Berrettini's journey, if you've been worried about his injuries, or if you've been moved by the way he keeps fighting despite the setbacks, take a moment to acknowledge his effort and his resilience. Please like this video, and if you enjoy updates and stories about the injuries, comebacks, and struggles of the athletes we follow, consider subscribing to this channel. Together, we can keep watching, keep hoping, and keep supporting players like Matteo Berrettini as they fight their way back, one match at a time.